Welcome all. We're going to begin the Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 Select Board meeting. Tonight's a big night. We're glad to see everyone here for the purpose of our appointments. But first, we do have a little bit of business that we do have to take care of. And the first one is warrant 2025 and FP 63.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will note that this evening you signed warrant 25, 26, and FP 64 as well. That'll be on your upcoming agenda, and we'll run through it at that time. For this evening, as you stated, you have before you warrant number 2525 dated June 12th, 2025. On the payroll side of things, totaling in at $932,000. We'll note the $20,000 or so in overtime that hopefully softens a little bit as we roll over into the new fiscal year. For bills payable, coming in at about $930,000. A couple highlights there: $1,400 for legal expenses. That's specifically for the MBTA Communities lawsuit that's ongoing, because that's outside of our typical retainer. There's a $5,000 payment for Chief Will's Day, which is upcoming this weekend. Under the DPW, $41,000 for the Boston Street project. We had raised the question last meeting if that was complete. It is complete. These are just details that we're paying out. So that actually should be the last one coming through.
There was grant money.
Yep, and it was grant money. For IT, you'll see $27,000 for the North Shore IT Collaborative, the shared services, our payment for that. And then for the school and town on the lower end of things, $220,000 and $154,000 respectively for insurance premiums. For FP 63, that's specifically the new municipal building project, you'll see a light one for this round, about $170,000 broken up between design, construction, and then some separate IT components for mobile radio band consulate and some other things that are rolling through there. So in total, that is everything for the two warrants at this point in time.
Great. I move we accept warrant 2525 and facilities project number 63.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right along to the minutes for the June 3rd open session.
I move to accept the minutes for open session June 3rd, open session June 12th, and executive session June 12th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town administrator updates and reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll try to be conscious to speak up. Can everybody hear me over the blower? Okay.
It's not getting turned off.
Yeah, because it's not getting turned off. Superintendent Goodwin and I have been representing Middleton at the Ipswich River Lower Basin Subcommittee. That group is part of the North Shore Water Resilience Task Force, and it's charged specifically with looking for opportunities to address water and environmental concerns within the region, and to try to seek consensus for agreements on water supply and water resource solutions moving forward in the future. So I'm going to do my best as we go through that process to try to put a spotlight on it and talk about it a little publicly so that people can see the process, and we don't just come back 6 months later with some type of regional agreement. So I'll continue to update you on that. Due to staffing issues, the Flint Public Library will be running reduced hours this summer, specifically closed on Sundays. We will reevaluate that in several weeks, and we're open to adding hours or redistributing hours, possibly for August or a portion of August, depending on availability of staffing and other factors. We have had a few residents reach out, and it's typical for it to kind of happen in this fashion. You see that there's like the emails aren't the same, but they rhyme, and so it's usually a few friends talking to each other. But we appreciate their feedback, and I think some of the concern is that I just want to be clear. It's not an unwillingness to open the library for longer hours. It's an inability to, because we are so depleted in staffing. We'll be down in the new fiscal year a director, an assistant director, a full-time librarian, and 2 circulation assistants. And so, as much as it hurts us to limit the access to those resources for a portion of the summer, we have to be mindful of the fact that staffing issues exist. It's unfortunate, and we're trying to work through them. So we'll keep the public up to date on that. All department head annual evaluations are complete, and that caps off a month or so long process. Thank you for everybody that participates in it. Also, thank you to Assistant Town Administrator Jackie Bresnahan, who kind of bundles them all up at the end. So thank you for that extra work. Also, thank you to Jackie. We'll pile it on, but we've been on a little bit of a hiring spree due to some vacancies lately and some new additions as part of the approved budget. And so we've been putting out job descriptions and postings and going through interviews like crazy, and it's been a lot of extra work. And I just want to make sure it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for that, Jackie. We hit the 1-year mark for the municipal campus project with the anniversary of the groundbreaking occurring last Friday. We posted about that on social media. As a reminder, for your upcoming meeting, we hope to have a conversation about names for the buildings, if any, or if you want to keep it generic, that's fine too. If you want to kick it over to the building committee, I understand they've had some conversations about that as well, but just to get some additional input. Speaking of the building committee, they're going to be meeting virtually this upcoming Thursday, June 26th at 4:30 p.m. 4 p.m. The surplus property series that the select board has been going through over the past several months is going to continue after a brief, much-needed break following annual town meeting. The agendas have been a little heavy. So you'll see at your upcoming July 9th select board meeting a conversation centered around the future Memorial Hall and the Locust Street property. And we'll make a social media posting about that as well, just to solicit more input from the community. I will be serving up food at Chief Will's Day this upcoming Saturday, and I hope to see you there. Hopefully the weather turns out okay. And I just want to wish the residents of Middleton a safe and happy 4th of July, and also thank our first responders and any other employees that end up working on the 4th of July while the rest of us are hopefully enjoying it with our families. So thank you to them. Also, thank you to the Middleton Fire Department for getting me into my locked office about an hour ago to get my keys. So with that, it happens. So that's everything for now.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 2, which many of us are here for the appointment of Detective Adam Massini to Police Sergeant. Before we start, I just want to say one thing directly to you, Adam. I have watched you grow in this town from the day you started. It is my honor and my privilege to be here today to see you become our sergeant.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Turn it over to the chief.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm pleased to recommend Detective Adam Massini to be our next police sergeant. Adam served the town of Middleton for the last 20 years with extreme valor. He has held the patrolman, he's been a field training officer, he's been a court liaison, and his last and current is detective. He holds a Master of Science in Criminal Justice as well as a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. He served for the last 4 years as a detective, and when I tell you how he's shined in that position has been beyond anybody's understanding. He's become one of the top detectives on the North Shore, well respected by all the agencies, from the district attorney's office to the state police and all the surrounding ones. As you can see, people came tonight just to support him. And I can't say that there's a better person, or more qualified, or more deserving person than Detective Massini. So I am honored tonight to present him for your consideration to be promoted to police sergeant.
Given our chair's opening comments, it'll be a tough vote.
I think we have one vote.
I know, but I couldn't wait.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we do have to take a formal vote. Rick?
Yes.
Well,
Costa?
I'll make a motion.
First
Oh,
we'll
you
have
gotta
to
make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Adam Massini as the detective sergeant.
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I wasn't even waiting for the motions.
I know. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Adam, stick around for some photos.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay, moving along to the appointment of full-time police officers. 2 that we we'll be looking at appointing David Woom and Robert Tanso.
And just a little bio on both. Ryan comes from the Lynn Police, where he served for the last 2 years as a full-time police officer. He lives in Essex County. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, where in both high school and college, he was a standout athlete. He comes highly recommended. There was a thorough background check. He came without any concerns whatsoever. He comes from a family of police. His dad did 37 years with the Lynn Police Department, who's here today. He has many of his colleagues from the Lynn Police that are here to cheer him on. And we're excited to have Ryan join our team, and I think he's going to be a great asset to the department. Also, we have Robert Tanzo. Robert has served for the last 12 years with the Mass General Police Department. He currently serves as a sergeant there. He has a master's degree in criminal justice as well as a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He also comes with outstanding recommendations. His background check was excellent. All his supervisors, all his people had nothing but high accolades for him. And again, they both come with great backgrounds, and we're both excited to get them on board, and I think they're both going to be great assets to the department.
So they're fully trained and ready.
Both are full-time certified and currently full-time law enforcement officers.
Great.
You might want to call it
wonderful.
a transfer for layman's terms, so they're already.
100%.
I'm excited to have, it was a big thing to get the town to support the override, to give Middleton its much-needed addition to public safety. So, with things the way they are today, to have a couple of solid candidates as quickly as you have, Chief, I just want to say thank you very much for that and for everything that went into the background check. And wish you guys the most success and be safe out there.
With that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion
Need a
to
second.
appoint Ryan Woom and Robert Tanzo, full-time Middleton police officers.
I'll second that.
For 3 years?
Yes, through June 30th, 2028, with a 1-year probationary period.
So Chief, when would they actually have their first shifts, when would they start?
July 7th is the start date. That's when we're losing one Detective Sergeant Eric Thuzik's retiring, so the next day is when we plan on the sergeant position and the 2 new full-time police officers beginning.
Right around the corner.
We're around the corner. Oh, we're excited.
Okay, with that, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations and welcome to Middleton.
Now, do you go by Ryan or David? Ryan. I heard him say
Yes,
Ryan.
ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, yeah, no, it's gonna be gone. I'm gonna go take some photos.
Madam Chair, if I could make one comment.
Sure.
I'd be remiss if I didn't make mention for Sergeant Massini. Adam does the part of the job that you don't see out there pulling over cars every day and getting out and running licenses and coming to the car accident and, assisting the fire department. His duties are strictly for investigations. And in light of today's world where those have very much been under the spotlight, I know for a fact that since Adam became a detective, I want to say my first year is on the select board, Beth, so it's almost 10 years. Like the chair said, you watch someone grow, and he is without a doubt solid at that position. Didn't want to put him on the spot, but things you wouldn't see, he's been able to recover 2 victims, tens of thousands of dollars, and I'm just talking about the fraud aspect of what he does. Again, what he does, hopefully you won't ever find out, because the people that find out what Adam does are either a victim or the perpetrator. So I just want to make sure before anything ended that, make sure that everybody knows, just because he's not, you might not see him because he's in plain clothes, but he's really doing a bang-up job for us, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, with that, we're going to take a few out of order just so that we can get to the other appointments that the select board has to, and not keep everyone for the entire night.
I'll move to reappoint for 3-year term Reserve Patrol Officer Leandra Jorge, Richard Cassiotis, Mark Feiner, full-time patrol officers Costa Aganis, Henry Bouchard, Samantha Sela, Robbie DeShane, Ryan Duvall, Brian Kelly, Jordan Kemp, Isabella Palmera, Jonathan Santiago, Melissa Witt, Sergeants Ronald Carpenter, Michael Lacoste, Robert Peachy, David Arathusic until July 5th, 2025, and Captain Matt Armitage and Chief William Sampson.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And one abstention.
One abstention.
I'm gonna go take some photos.
Okay. That's done, that's done, that's done, that's done. And then we're gonna move over to the fire.
No,
Right, I thought we were gonna do
No.
fire next.
we're going to go back
To number 4.
to number 4.
Oh,
And we'll do the rest of the
Jeffy's.
appointments at the end.
thought Jackie said she wanted to do both. I could be wrong. Okay, so number 4, moving back on the agenda items in order. We have an update, a financial updated report from Sarah Wood, our finance director. Do you,
Yep. So thank you, Madam Chair. Sarah's with us this evening, and as she makes her way up to the front, I would also just like to make mention, as eager as we are to get into fiscal year 26, there's still a lot of wrap up that needs to be done for fiscal 25, and a lot of that happens relatively quietly. And it's quiet because Sarah does such a good job. She is extraordinarily competent and on top of it, and so we appreciate the work she does as well to close out the fiscal year. And so with that said, I believe you have quarter 3 to chew through, and then we'll do some transfers.
hey, Sarah.
Are we do, okay. Sorry, just want to get everything in order. Okay. So going through my third quarter report, as of March 31st, we were 71% expended in the general fund budget. As Justin said, there are some transfers that are needed for some overages in certain areas, some well-known every year, some were a little bit of a surprise, but we can go through those next. As far as capital items go, there was 1.9 million in approved general fund capital projects that were outstanding as of March 31st. 4 projects made up just over $1 million of that, so it is a lot of smaller items that are on page 6 that you can go through. But there are 2 items that are kind of the big ticket items that are still outstanding, which is the purchase of the ambulance for $520,000 and our continued Natsu Way project phase 2 parking lot for $483,040. So that makes up the majority of the items that were still outstanding. I did go through the list today. A lot of the smaller items that are listed on page 6 have closed out for the year. Others there's potential that they are going to close out and just haven't yet when I go through the fiscal year-end process. And then, of course, there are still some that carry over. As far as older outstanding items, there's only about 136,000 of outstanding items that are FY22 and earlier. So that number's come down significantly from previous years. So a lot of the departments have worked really hard to pay down those older projects to get those closed out so that we can be as current as possible with it. A lot of the other items, a lot of vehicles have been purchased, but we're still waiting on them to actually get delivered. So that's a lot of the items too. It's just they've been ordered and just waiting on them to receive them. Any questions on general fund expenses before I move on?
Does anyone have any questions? No. Yep.
No, thank you.
On the revenue side, as of March 31st, we were 83.9% in collection of our budget, which is above that 75% benchmark that I always like to point out. So we were actually in really good shape for a lot of the areas. There were only the payment in lieu of taxes, building permits, and Medicaid reimbursements that were trending below benchmark. However, as of this point in time, we've received all pilot payments. Building permits are actually projected to meet budget this year, which I didn't think when I wrote this we were going to meet budget, but we had a lot of large projects come in at the end of May, and a lot of online payments. So I think we will barely meet our budget of, I think it's 300.
Yeah.
300,000?
The estimate was 300,000.
Yep,
I
so I-
believe it was 191.
Yes, so I think we should just make that. I ran the report of online payments because that's the only one that we don't know till the end of the month because we book those monthly. That is coming in to close the small gap that we have at this point in time from what's been booked.
You know, is there, you know, the permit, is the permit fee is paid when the permit is issued? Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So is there permits that have been filed that are likely to be issued before the end of the year and therefore more money collected? What's kind of the backlog in?
I don't know
Permits.
that answer off the top of my head, but last time I spoke with Scott Fitzpatrick, the building inspector, he didn't indicate that there was anything significant coming in before July 1st. If anything comes in, it would most likely be in July that we receive it.
Well, I was in new applications. I was talking about applications
That
that
are
have
pending.
been made but haven't been acted on.
I can ask him.
So,
Pools, decks, and sheds at this point in time in the year. Nothing significant rolling through.
okay, so, I mean, if you could, for our next, you know, meeting, kind of, you know, what's a typical sort of queuing permits, right? You know, and how long does it typically take between application and, you know,
In
granting?
issuance. And with the online permitting too, the contractors, in some cases, have to come back because they've forgotten to upload plans or their license or whatever. But what is the typical from the time they file for the permit to the time it's issued without any hiccups?
We can get you that information. All that being said, it's expected that all of our local receipts categories will be over 100% by the end of the year. I don't anticipate any of them being under budget this year.
That's good.
It's very good. I think last year we had one or two categories that were just slightly under the benchmark. But even our real estate and personal property taxes, because Nick has done a great job of trying to collect a lot of those old receivable items. I think he collected about $400,000 of old tax items. Even real estate and personal property are over 100% right now, to factoring in all those items. The CPA fund had expenditures at 99% of the budget, which there's only a debt service payment that gets paid in the beginning of the fiscal year. So that would be expected. And our revenues were at 87.6% of the budget as of March 31st, with a fund balance, including reservations for items that were approved, of just over $1 million at that time. With our water fund expenditures, they were at 46.5% of the budget. It's not unexpected that it's lower than the benchmark because we do have a general $50,000 in case of emergency items in there as an earmark. And a lot of the other major expenses happen towards the end of the fiscal year, the hydrant flushing, that kind of stuff. Revenues are only at 2.7% of the budget. However, the majority of the budget is made up from the payment from the town of Danvers. I did reach out on Friday to the town since we still haven't received the payment yet this fiscal year. It usually comes in within the last week of June. I haven't heard back from Danvers yet, but I am going to follow up with them again tomorrow to make sure that we get it in time.
It's just one,
Just one payment. Yep.
In North Reading too, I only received one payment. I issue it in December, and they pay it in February.
Yeah, it's always in June. I'm not sure. I think.
Wonder if that could be a conversation.
Well, we do have an open IMA with the town of Danvers for the water because they have a new town administrator. I don't think there's been any movement on that contract. So that is part of the contract that we have in place, is the timing of and how we get our payments. So in the meantime, I will follow up and make sure that we try to get that before the end of the fiscal year. Our sewer expenditures were at 71.5% of the budget. It's our quarterly assessments to the Southern Essex Sewerage District. So that's just on point for where we would expect. And revenues were at 7.5% of the budget. Bills were not due until April, so that's the majority of it. We are at 84% in June. There are going to be bills that go out for late fees in July, just because of the timing of when everything is due. That's the earliest we can send those out. So hopefully we'll receive the rest of those outstanding bills within the beginning of the next fiscal year. I think the only other thing I wanted to point out were the fund balance pages. I did add in on pages 12, 13, and 14. 12 is the town, 13 are the school special revenue funds, and then I did add in on page 14 a list of all of our trust funds that we have out there, spendable and non-spendable balances for the board's information purposes as well. But if anyone has any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Jeff?
No?
Has that town administrator actually taken a position physically yet?
In Danvers, yes. Yep.
okay.
Yep, sorry. Multitasking.
So we need a vote for the transfer?
We need to
Well, I
take a
will-
vote.
Hmm?
We need to take a vote.
Would you like me to go over the transfers?
Yeah.
So the other document I have is our request for transfer of appropriation, which is in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B, which allows me to do transfers during the last 2 months of the fiscal year or the first 15 days of the following fiscal year to shore up any balances that are outstanding. So I'm requesting a total of $101,635.03. I won't read line by line, but a lot of it is salaries and wages, contractual services, and other smaller departments that we have. So salary adjustments are for 3 reasons, it's 2 reasons, that's a typo in there. Merit pay, which was funded in the comp reserve, so a lot of those salaries are just transfers out of the compensation reserve and into those department line items. And then fire department is staffing for the wildland fires to fund our overtime account for a little bit of overage that was there. Library department, there was contractual service need for office coverage. Town council, we had additional costs outside of the retainer for arbitrage, court, etc., things of that nature. Town reports, the warrants for the fall special town meeting came in a little bit over our budget, since it was such a bigger packet than we typically have for that town meeting. Garden Club, there was an increase in costs for their holiday wreaths, and our health dental insurance line item. As I mentioned during the budget process, we had more enrollees than we had budgeted for the year, so there is a transfer needed to help fund that line item.
On that, are the new hires typically taking our health insurance? The more recent hires.
So a lot of it is individuals that turned 26 that came onto some of our plans. There were a couple of new hires that did take our plans where their predecessor did not, but also we had some that were on the insurance that didn't take it. So there was a little bit of an offset with some of those. But a lot of it was just more of on individual plans that came on versus family plans coming on. But again, during the budget process, we did shore that up and again, account for all the new individuals and all the new positions that we've hired as well. So hopefully it won't be necessary in 26.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion to transfer the $101,635.03 from the comp reserve, unemployment, liability insurance, and library to the accounts that were mentioned.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for such a wonderful job.
You're not getting rid of me so quick yet. I have 2 more items.
Okay.
So next up are ambulance write-offs. You'll have in your packet, there are 2 separate write-offs. One is our general fiscal year write-offs, where in FY25 we are writing off balances from 2022. As just kind of background, we billed about $781,000 in ambulance revenues. There was about $134,000 outstanding at the time of running this report, which brings it to about a 17% write-off amount. I did run a little bit of historical analysis to see how that trends overall, and it is in line with our historical trends. Obviously, between COVID years, there are some years that are higher and lower. Last year, we only wrote off about 12%, but those years we had about an 89 and an 86% collection rate. For 2022, we only had an 80% collection rate. So I was anticipating that it would be higher, and also next year's will most likely be in the same dollar figure as we had about a 76% collection rate in 2023. So it is trending that way. 25 so far, we have a 85% collection rate. So we're trending back in the right direction. A lot of it is just a lot of self-insured, a lot of deductible payments out there that are not collected. We do send things to our third-party collection agency. So even though we are writing these off, everything is still, if they're paid, we still collect the revenue. It still goes into the ambulance fund. It's just an administrative process at this point in time.
Just to make the books cleaner.
Exactly. And then the second write-off that I'm or do we want to do a motion for this one and I can go into the next one?
They're both ambulance related. We could do them both together.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
So at your last meeting, I know the fire chief discussed the bankruptcy case with Health Cost Solutions. Our third-party provider is requesting that we write off the amounts that were deemed uncollectible, that were they were runs that happened before they filed bankruptcy. So these are ones that we have to go to bankruptcy court to get money back from. I will say of this $32,880 that I'm requesting, we've already received a check for $13,280. So we have about $19,000 that's still remaining of this amount that we're working to get. This again is just for bookkeeping purposes, because when we receive the payment, it's a lump sum payment. It doesn't go into which claims they relate to or anything like that. So Comstar is just requesting that we write these off the books to clean up the books. And again, as we get payments in, we still receive the revenue. It still goes into the ambulance account. And we are still working to get the rest of these claims paid.
How were you able to get, if they were in bankruptcy, how were you able to get the payment that you got?
Because we filed a claim with bankruptcy court.
That came through the bankruptcy court, the
Yes.
payments that you got?
Yep.
And are any of these, for jail inmate pickups, any of these ones that we're writing off on this particular?
These ones are all jail pickups.
So this is all jail
Yes.
pickup? And
Yep.
have we talked to the sheriff at all about it, or see if he would want to make up the difference?
No, we have not, but I'll set up a conversation with him. Full disclosure, I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but that said, I think I'd like to do the due diligence.
Do you think he'd be
and ask.
willing to come in to one of our meetings and talk to us about it?
I'll ask him.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And to Sarah's point, though, so out of that 32,000, we did already collect 13,000, and more could follow. So it's not, that number's not a true number yet.
Right. I mean, they're still in the process with bankruptcy court. It's not settled. It's not finalized. There's still a lot of work being done with it. So I would hate to receive payments from the jail and then payments from bankruptcy court and then have to repay somebody some amount of money.
It wouldn't be
as
the worst
well.
thing.
No, it wouldn't be, but
Right.
it's, heaven
Our
forbid,
folks won't be there.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows
Right.
how long it could take with bankruptcy court. So, but that's the background, at least behind this second request.
This company is going out of business, not reorganizing.
I believe
Is that
they're going
true?
out of business and they're not reorganizing.
I heard it was going out.
Yeah, okay, so. That,
Maybe Chief knows. Is that what you heard too? That's mine too.
so, yeah, it's probably, it might get a little more, but we're not gonna get all of it.
No, I would
Otherwise, they wouldn't
imagine
have gone
not.
into
I
bankruptcy.
would imagine not. But I mean, also, and we also just wrote off $134,000 from another year. So while I don't disagree, $20,000 is still $20,000 to receive. I'm very happy that we've received at least a small portion of the payment already. And we are still, for any claims that have happened from when they filed for bankruptcy till they stopped being in service, we are still receiving those payments on a regular, up-to-date basis. So I don't anticipate there being a further liability in regards to this bankruptcy hearing.
And the non-jail write-off, I don't have it to memory, I'm not gonna ask it, but it seems relatively similar to what we had last year.
The 134?
Yeah.
Last year was only 89,000.
It was less than that,
It was
okay.
less, but we had a much higher collection rate in 2021 than we did in 2022. 2022 and 2023 had lower collection rates, but the 135 is actually on average to what historically we have written off. Honestly, last year was a low year. It was an outlier. So we're back kind of to where our average was.
So I'll move to write off 134,223.33 from year 2022 and 32,880 from fiscal years 24-25.
So that's the second part, so that's the total, but it could be less because money's coming in.
It could always, yeah.
We can still collect.
It just means it doesn't show on the books when the money comes in, you know, from the 134, the collection agency is still trying to
I'm
collect.
talking more about the second
No,
part.
the $32,000, that $13,000 that we received,
Yeah.
it came to the town of Middleton. It didn't go to the ambulance company. So they are not applying the payment to any of these amounts. So they need the full amount written off
Okay.
of their books.
Okay.
So when we get the money, we still get the money.
Okay.
Yep. Correct.
Right, we still need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, next up is the ambulance carrier contract update.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we have Chief Lacoste with us this evening as well. Just to go over some feedback we received from the board when you went over this item at your most recent meeting earlier in June. Chief Lacoste and I did meet afterwards, kind of compare notes, and then Chief Lacoste prepared a response back to the company trying to highlight some of those areas. So, for example, term date, kind of structuring in some type of increased steps over time and some other elements. Have you heard back an official determination from them?
So I did get a document this afternoon.
Okay.
Email.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay. So I think what I would recommend is taking that, tabling it until your July 9th meeting, given you received it kind of late in the day, and we'll go from there.
It's fine.
Okay. Next up is the liquor license change of manager application at the American Legion on River Street. The new manager is Pam Monroe. You want to come up and just give us a little history? A little insight?
Yes, thank you.
Insight as to why we're changing managers, insight as to the reason of the change.
The other manager has left. Mike Pelletier has left. He,
My name is Paul Steiger. I'm the new commander down at the American Legion, 227. I'm actually not new, it's going into my second year. So when I took over, the old commander was there for 10, 12 years. They did their thing, and I just thought we needed to make this more of a a veteran-orientated club again. That it hasn't been in a long time. And we are well on our way in just a quick 6-7 weeks. So we're doing a great job. Pam has always been doing a great job for us, and she's the perfect person for our bar manager position. She's willing to do the liquor license for us, and we really hope to do some good things for the veterans.
I've been there since 2016, and I'm also the function hall manager. So, yeah, I kind of know all.
And a
the-
Middleton resident, correct?
And a Middleton resident of 50, going on 57 years next month. So, all my life, born and raised.
So other than running a tighter ship these days, what do you have for any changes or any ideas for anything going forward?
We started Veterans Coffee Socials
Yep.
once a month. We had our last one last month, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, if you guys know Operation Troop Support with Dick Moody in Danvers, he started one about 2 or 3 years ago and told me that it took him almost a year to get 6 or 7 people. Our first one was almost 22 people.
Yeah.
So the word got out. We have great help at volunteering. That's probably one of the biggest things you guys should know now too, is not to go into the whole thing, but there was a lot of payroll that not too many people knew about at the Legion. Now it's 1 or 2 people other than bartenders, and everything else is volunteer. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing the coffee socials. We're doing
Reese Across America.
Greece Across America,
Coral.
as you probably all know, that
Yeah.
we brought to it. We work with the Eagle Scouts that come up left and right. all the
Chelsea
Boy Scouts
Soldier
for
Home.
19. Yeah, we just booked with Chelsea Soldiers Home.
Yeah.
We're always looking for something veteran oriented. And one of my personal things is, and she probably doesn't even know this yet, but I do want to somehow bring in some canine veteran stuff. That's just one of my passions.
But we did the drive for 'em.
Yep, absolutely. I want to get some here and just help out a lot with that thing.
Yeah.
And I know you guys, I don't see you guys down there that often, and I understand. But please, if you ever have a question, I'll be more than happy to give you my information. And between me, Pam, my wife Coral, Cynthia does music.
Yeah.
We got it covered.
Yeah, you're doing
And
a
a
great
lot better
job.
safe.
You are doing a
Yeah.
great job, and I do see all the new stuff down there
Yeah.
being posted, for
Appreciate it.
social media,
Yeah,
whatever.
don't listen to the bad stuff.
Yeah.
No, I scroll right over
Good.
that.
We're
all
the
eyes.
Only
targets
the
of that.
We are the
positive.
targets,
Yeah,
yes.
that's okay. We got big shoulders. We can
Yes.
deal with it.
Thick skin.
Thank you for the update.
Wish you all the best.
So I'll move to approve the change of manager at the American Legion to Pam Monroe.
Second.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye
Who's
as
the
well.
second? I'm sorry.
Jeff.
Jeff,
Good.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming
Good
in.
luck. Thanks,
We'll be
Pam.
in touch. We gotta do some business with the ABCC and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, don't go by Monroe the way he spells it.
Oh, no, we'll fix that.
Thank you for your,
Yeah,
you're
you're very
amazing.
welcome. Yeah, of course. Good to see you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, could we revisit number 7?
Sure.
So over the course of the last item, I had a chance to read through the agreement. It was only 8 pages, and I'm a quick study. So to talk about terms really quick, it's July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, with an option for a 12-month renewal. So the overall term, a total of 2 years. They did put in an item here that individuals must submit an invoice within 30 days and that they will pay that out within 60 days. And they did agree, originally we had talked about 120% of the Medicare rate. They agreed to step it
Correct.
in year 2 at 130%, in year 3, if there is a year 3, at 140%. So they came back and agreed to all of your terms.
Okay.
And you only wanted a 1 year? That was something you requested, or a 2 year? I guess it's a 2
So
year.
the option to not do a second year is at the sheriff's discretion, not ours. In terms of engaging in a third year, it makes really no difference to me. I think if anything, it gives us an opportunity to force them back to the table after a year and say, hey, how are things going? What's working? What's not working? And then you can try to renegotiate from there. So if it's agreeable to the board, I'd appreciate a motion to accept the agreement.
Absolutely.
I so move.
And And the chief is in favor of this, do you know? Or-
Yep.
I think he's left, right?
Madam Chair, you're making a motion to accept which agreement, just so that we have a clear motion
To-
for the minutes
yes.
taker, please.
For the ambulance carrier contract update.
Thank you.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna move down to item number 9, the one-day liquor license for Cellar Door. Is there anyone here? That's the one
Madam
over
Chair,
on-
this has been withdrawn because the event has been canceled.
Oh,
Okay.
And if I may, item 10, we reserve for 6 o'clock public comment, and item 11, we're looking to have the Library Board of Trustees join you. So if I could, would you mind a recess until 6 when they are here?
Sure.
They cannot start until 6 because of their posting.
Okay, we will take a 5 to 8 minute recess. And we will resume
At 6 o'clock.
at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Be resuming Tuesday, June 24, 2025, Select Board meeting. We're on item number 10 for public comment, and just as a reminder, with the public comment, please be aware of the agenda, not to be repeating what we're going to be talking about. So is there anyone here for public comment? Okay. So we'll move right along to item number 11, which is a joint meeting with the library trustees to appoint members to the Library Director Search Screening Committee. And that is a joint meeting between Select Board and Library Trustees. And Mark, with that, I'm gonna let you open your meeting. You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, and I'm going to call to order our joint meeting of the Select Board and the Library Board of Trustees at 6:04 PM on Tuesday night. Thank you for having us.
Okay. So I believe the library trustees need to go into executive session.
Later.
Not quite at this
Yeah.
time. So just, I guess, to give the group a refresher, so as part of the screening committee process, at a recent select board meeting, you all had broken down, laid out parameters for the makeup of that committee. One element of that included one at-large appointment from the select board and one at-large appointment from the library board of trustees. So it's not a mixed vote like you see sometimes in other votes that you would do. You each get to vote amongst your own bodies and appoint one. Following that process, the library board of trustees will be excusing themselves for executive session in a separate room.
Okay.
Madam Chair, one note though is that you have the same pool of candidates to pick from for both bodies, and thus the reason for the joint meeting, so you could talk to all of the candidates for the at-large seats at the same time.
Okay.
And they have all been invited here.
Jackie,
Allison?
Hello?
Mark, thank you. The vocals are very jittery.
We're gonna do our best to speak up, Allison, but it's because the air conditioner's on and we really don't want to turn it off today.
No, but I would appreciate if people would just speak up and speak a little slowly. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And is it five, are there 5 candidates? Is that
There's
correct?
one more candidate. By the time of the agenda posting, we had 4. We do have one more, and it's Allison Sloan.
So 5.
Okay.
So I would advise potentially giving each of the prospective candidates an opportunity to entertain nominations from there.
So here I have a little issue. I don't have a list in mind.
It's on your agenda, Debbie. If you go to Appendix B of your agenda on the If you flip it over, Appendix B. It's a very long agenda, my apologies for that.
Yes.
So the select board have the designee of the Friends of the Flint that is within their appointment, which we can do after. So right now we have the 4 candidates that we had at the time of the agenda posting, and then one more that came in after, which is Allison Sloan.
So all the way at the
Okay.
bottom.
They're
I
right there,
gotta
and then
be,
that-
so
and
I
then
don't
that
have that. That's what I'm saying.
You want to hand
Okay.
this down to?
It was on his second page.
Oh, you got it.
Then there's one more that's on that page.
Right. Okay, why don't we take them in order in which they're on the agenda? And we're gonna take Beth Andres Beck first, please. How are you?
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Beth Andres Beck. I'm a senior staff software engineer at Aledade, which is a healthcare software company. Lived in Middleton for 4 years. Big fan of the Flint. Have been to events there. I borrow books there. I use the app all the time. I've been involved in hiring processes for about 15 years now, including designing interviews, testing interviews. I interview regularly for my job, and I'm very used to being on hiring committees.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
I just, what inspired you to have interest in wanting to get on the hiring committee?
Yeah, so, I've known Loretta basically since I got here. I got to watch I think it's great to see that she's found more growth, but I think it's important for the town. Who leads our library? Our library is one of the things that I love best about Middleton. And so I care a lot about how it goes in the future, finding someone who's a good manager and a strong executive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Beth? I gotta ask Alice.
Allison, do you have any questions?
No,
She's
Allison's
a candidate,
She's
so-
actually a candidate, not
Yeah,
on
I'm
it.
sorry, you're not allowed to. Thank you. Sorry. My bad.
What do you think is the most important thing for a library administrator?
Most important, I as someone who's been a manager, I think every manager has a responsibility to their employees and making sure that the work environment is positive, constructive, has growth opportunities for people, and is doing the job that it needs to do and and serving people. I think one of the things that's been great about the library is especially the way it supports younger people in the town, and that's a credit to the librarians that have been hired here, and making sure that those people, that talent stays with our town and helps grow and can grow here, lets us keep having all those nice things.
You see your software background being important in this role of finding someone?
Yeah, I think that digital librarian the digital has become a larger component of the library work. But recently on the Affordable Housing Trust, we passed a motion to help fund the Library of Things. So it's not that the digital has overtaken going in, picking up a book, but I think costs of digital books are growing. There's some real concerns there, and making sure that we have computers to provide to people in town, the support there. Those are really valuable resources that the library provides.
Do you have any questions for us?
I think so. I think I have a pretty good sense of what this will involve, so I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I
Good.
do not.
Nope.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
The next name is Claire Burde.
Hi, my name is Claire Boudet. Can you hear me? And I live on Vera Road, and I've been a resident of Middleton for almost 24 years.
Just so that you know, Claire, the microphone doesn't resonate to us, it's just for the recording, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
For our
Okay,
thousands.
so maybe I'll move over a
If you
little
could speak up, that would be great. Thank you.
That's just for TV land.
Yeah, just for TV.
For all
I
the-
watched it, so I know.
For the thousands of people watching you right now.
So I was a corporate librarian for over 40 years. I retired 2 years ago. So since that time, I've been looking for volunteer opportunities. So when this came up, I thought that it would be something very interesting to do. Something that's not on my resume is that I actually worked at a public library for 3 years when my children were very little, and I couldn't go back to work full-time. So I worked as a weekend reference librarian at the Suffern Library, Suffern, New York, which served a population of 26,000 people. And I was in charge of the library on that day. It was a Sunday reference. I also volunteered at the Flint when we first moved here. Again, I was in between jobs. I think you were looking for outreach people. So I worked with Claudia Johnson, and I was the outreach person. And I delivered materials to a number of people. I think it was about a year. And then I went back to work full-time. So unfortunately, I had to stop doing that. But it was very rewarding. They were wonderful people.
I think it's rewarding in both directions. We need more people doing that.
Well, it was nice because I would sit down and talk to people. A lot of people were lonely. And I think they needed that interaction. So they were more than happy to just sit and talk. So, and I had the time. So it was wonderful.
Did you hire people at your full-time jobs?
Yes. Well, I managed a few small libraries. Sunkist, which was a two-person library. I was the corporate librarian. I hired somebody there as an assistant. First Annapolis was just a one-person library. New Directions was a two-person library, and I had the occasion to hire an assistant for there. And then the other libraries were larger libraries, so I was one of the business reference librarians, so I didn't have management responsibilities there. But I've done collection development, budgeting, because I was in charge of the library, IT oversight, so that's a thankless job. And just pretty much everything except physical plant, because I was working within larger organizations, so I didn't have that responsibility. I thought this is an interesting opportunity because I obviously know the library. The public library is something that I gravitate towards wherever I've lived, and I'm a patron. And I just appreciate what the public library does. And I think I have enough skills because this is it's a management role, and it has budget, it has collection development, it has reference, which is very important. And I think it needs a person who will meet the needs of the taxpayers. And it has to be a person who has a very good public face, because there are times where that person has to come out from the back office and be in the front and interact with the patrons. So, and I was a reference librarian for a very long time, so that's basically what I did, was working with the clients, whoever they were, whoever I worked for. So, I'm interested in doing it, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions?
Claire, can I ask, are you on any other boards or committees in town?
I am not. I am not. You know, I commuted into Boston for 13 years, and it was almost 3 hours a day, and by the time I got home, I was exhausted, so I didn't really feel like I could do it. But now that I'm retired, I feel like I have the time. I'm actually currently volunteering at the Phillips Library of the Peabody Essex Museum, so I'm doing that one day a week. So I'm cobbling together. So.
Great resume. Great resume.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
Great. A lot of good work.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. But there always comes a time where you need to retire. So.
That's good, right?
Okay, Claire, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
The next person on the list is Rachel Nemeth.
Hi.
Hey, Rachel.
So, what to say about myself? I have lived in Middleton. I've called Middleton my home for over 30 years. And I am a lifelong learner. And if you have a copy of my resume, you will see a little glimpse of how my work experience is a reflection of that. I've done everything from working with children to career counseling, currently editing. If you look it over, you might notice a theme. I love to work with people, empowering them to learn and grow and become their fullest, best selves. And I love to learn myself. So most of my jobs involve one or the other or some combination of those two. I think libraries are such an important piece in the community, and I care very much about Middleton's direction and the new person that we will be welcoming in to be the director of our library. And I would love to see that person fit in with Middleton and be someone who can help the library flourish. I've recently started going to various events at libraries that encompass more than just books and reading. I've gone to dancing at Medford and Woburns libraries. I go to Tai Chi here occasionally at this library, and I just love the variety of activities and education and opportunities for that lifelong learning that libraries can offer. So I'd love to be a part. Oh, and as a career counselor, I also have experience seeing candidates in their most honest and vulnerable moments. So it's a unique perspective to bring to the hiring process, to have worked with employers and found out what they were looking for, and then on the other side, to have been able to look into how it is from the candidate's perspectives too. So.
Questions?
Yeah, what do you see that we need as a library director?
That is a big question. If you would like to be more specific, I would welcome that. But in general, I would imagine that a library director would be fiscally responsible, someone who has kind of an overhead, long view of things, as well as someone who's able to look at detail-oriented matters, someone who is passionate about engaging the community in opportunities for lifelong learning, someone who's, if they don't have the skills themselves, someone who is able to assemble a team around them, to be able to combine people with many different talents, to be able to reach out socially in ways to let the community know about opportunities, people with creative ideas about different opportunities that could be offered. There are many things I could go on if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good. Any other questions?
I just want to say that I want to thank you that you have tried to, or you have offered to volunteer a couple of times and have unsuccessfully been put on the board. And I appreciate that you keep trying and coming back, because I know one of the select board's, one of the missions for 2025, I think, was that they bring in people that have not been on boards and try to get more people to volunteer. And I hope that we can make sure that we put forth people who haven't been on other boards.
I would love the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Zena Girolamatos.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I'm raising my hand for this opportunity for a couple of reasons. The primary reason is my professional background. I retired from a global company where at the time I was a human resources director, and I was responsible for the full function of HR in the US. We had a lot of processes in place for getting candidates in the door, for screening, for setting up interviews. with managers, but very often managers came to me and asked me to personally get involved in the interview process. So I did a lot of one-on-one. I did panel interviews, and then, of course, the debriefing afterwards. And these were all pretty much high-level positions. The second reason is something that's very important to me, which is being part of this community and giving back as much as I can and as I've done in the past. Next week, it'll be 3 years that we moved into Middleton, and a few months after we moved in, I started volunteering at the Council on Aging, and once a week, and I'm still going. I also volunteer for a few of the recent elections, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I feel that I have gained a reasonable sense of who our town, who we are, who this town is. Excuse me. So I believe that between my professional experience volunteering and being around and being part of this community, that I might be able to bring something valuable to the table. And if you agree with me, I'm more than happy to give you my time.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Again, Rosina?
What do you see as the perfect library director?
Oh, so you want a crystal ball?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, so first of all, I love the library, and I visit it frequently. I think this person has to be a leader to understand what our community is, what is needed, to be able to interface and have a reasonable relationship with the people reporting to them, with the town management, and to be fiscally responsible. This is a serious leadership role, and they have to be able to understand all of this.
Thank you.
Is there any questions from the select board? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zena.
And
The last one
Allison,
on the list
is Allison, right?
Is Alice?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Allison, could you tell us a little bit about the reason you're seeking this position, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah.
You all know that I'm very committed and have a 30-year career working in a public library. And you know that I've won national awards and that I'm the president of the Mass Library Trustees Association. So I don't think there's really any question of my depth of experience and support and commitment to libraries in general. What I think is important for you to understand that you may not know about my background is that I've spent several years in human resources, hiring and interviewing. We hired over 300 people for a corporate move, and I got the skills to understand the questions to ask and hearing the answers in a realistic way. And I really feel that my background in HR lends a lot. I've also participated in 3 committees to hire 3 different directors at libraries and 1 assistant director, so I've got direct experience with that, including working to select Middleton's library director.
Very good. Are there any questions?
No.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
So at this point, any other conversation or discussion?
Well, at this point, I will move to nominate all 5 candidates for the select board appointment to the at-large position.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'm sorry, Costa, I could not hear you.
So I placed all 5 candidates in nomination for the select board at-large appointment.
Thank you.
No, I'll do the same.
Well,
Or
you should do the trustees, after we make the appointment, because then, you'll have 4 candidates to choose
Oh,
from.
very good. So we don't compete for a candidate.
you don't have to. Gotcha. Thank you.
When can we have a meeting?
discuss this?
So now we can vote on the select board.
One question, Justin, Sue had a question. Do we get to talk this over as? The three of us.
So
gonna go
once you
into
have a
executive.
motion, you would discuss the motion.
So you can, once you make after we do our pick and you make a motion, then you can.
Amongst
discuss
ourselves
amongst
in
ourselves.
public meeting,
Public-
not in
publicly,
this.
yeah.
Exactly.
Right, in private. We're gonna ask you to
Oh,
step
I
out.
thought you said no.
No,
Yeah.
publicly.
No, you'll discuss this portion publicly, so
No, you have to
there'd
do
be
it
a
publicly.
motion, a second, a discussion of the motion.
And people will vote.
And then a vote.
So the five of us, the four of us, and we're here tonight, we could discuss it publicly right now.
Right.
Because there's a motion on the table, so we
And not in the
may.
other room as Deb was thinking, just so Deb knows too. I think she
No,
thought that.
No.
So I think what's getting
Public
misconstrued
hearing.
here is that later on, there's an executive session to discuss a potential for the employment of somebody for the interim
Right,
director
that's
position.
separate.
That's separate in executive session. But this portion is all public.
This is all
So
public.
This is okay.
Okay.
Maybe that was the confusion.
Okay, at this time, Rick, I'd ask, what's your choice?
My vote will be for Zena Girolamatos.
Costa?
I also vote for Zena. I think her long experience in HR is one of the things that will be helpful to the committee.
Jeff?
I'm going to vote for Rachel.
And my vote would be for Zena also due to her experience in HR and long-term. So for the select board, it's 3 for Zena and 1 for Rachel.
Can I make my motion now to nominate the candidates for?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were all set. I'd like to make a motion to nominate the 4 candidates that are now remaining. Do you want me to call them out, or is that good enough?
That's good enough. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll second that.
Well, isn't it us that seconds it?
I'm a trustee.
Yeah. So you're gonna vote on both boards?
It's 2 different votes.
So you've seconded, so we have a motion and a second. Sure, would you like to?
All in favor, say aye. Yeah, aye, yeah.
Yeah, all in favor, say
Aye.
Okay. So, Susan, did you want to have some conversation before we?
I think Susan did. Do you want to have a discussion, Susan, you said?
No,
You mentioned you want to discuss.
no, I didn't. I thought that we went in,
Well, that's for the interim director.
yeah, okay.
But not for this.
Yeah.
If you want to have discussion, we clearly
No,
can have a
that's-
discussion openly. So if there was something you want to state or ask or amongst us.
Would you like to vote first?
Yeah, okay. I'd like to nominate Rachel.
Where would you like to?
Rachel Nemeth.
Costa?
This per day.
Claire Boudet? Yeah, this is a little more difficult, but I would agree with that, that Claire would get my vote as well.
So right now, we have 2 for Claire and 2 for Rachel.
Correct.
And Allison gets the vote.
Allison is the
She
tiebreaker.
does, she's a,
She still gets the vote.
She still gets to vote.
Right?
I'm sorry, can you say that out loud, because
I think she
I
would
want
have
to make
to
sure that
withdraw her
Costa has voted for Claire,
She's
and Mark
also
has
a-
voted for Claire.
I don't think you're asking that she didn't hear the votes.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that,
She didn't hear
Allison?
the votes.
So Mark, you voted for Claire, and Costa voted for Claire?
Correct. And Maria and Sue both voted for Rachel. But at this,
Is she a candidate or?
yeah, you as a candidate here, Allison, I think this precludes you from being able to vote.
I don't see why. I could vote for myself.
She could withdraw her name and
Yes.
vote.
Yeah, so if you're remaining a candidate, Allison, I think it would be appropriate to abstain. But if you withdrew your candidacy, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to vote.
Oh, well, that's a good option, thank you.
Right now, we have 2 for Rachel and 2 for Claire. I didn't know if you could hear all that.
I did.
Okay.
And I hear that my choices are that I cannot vote if I'm a candidate, but I am allowed to either abstain or step down from my candidacy, remove my name from a candidacy. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. That's right, Allison, you got it.
Okay. All right. Then in this case, I am going to remove myself as a candidate. In that case, I'd like to vote, and I think I'm going to vote for Rachel Nesbitt.
Okay.
So that's 3 for Rachel,
3
2
for Rachel.
Rachel wins.
Yep.
So with that being said, there's, in total from both boards, it's 4 for Rachel.
No, it's two separate votes.
Two separate
Don't
votes.
combine the votes.
One has nothing to do with it.
So,
Zena and Rachel.
yes.
Zena and Rachel.
Okay.
And so at this point in time, so congratulations to the 2 candidates. And then at this point in time, it would be appropriate to excuse yourself.
Can you thank, I'd like to
Yeah, I
thank.
was gonna say,
thank-
yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you to all the people that threw their name in the ring again. We appreciate it. And please don't stop. There's lots of opportunities within the town. We need to increase the amount of people. It's always the same people in the room, so.
Oh, to run.
Yeah, and there'll be openings to run as well. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations and thank you.
So we need to move, we need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to close in order to go into executive session for the library board.
I second.
moved by Maria, second by Allison. All in favor, aye.
Right, do a roll call since.
You can do a roll call, I'm sorry, roll call.
Aye.
Allison.
Maria.
Allison.
Susan.
Mark. Aye.
Yes.
Where are we going to?
Jackie is with the candidate in the hallway, and they'll take you
So
to
we're
a
gonna go in the
classroom.
hallway?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you to the select board for having us.
Thanks, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Now, do we come back?
That's it.
Are we done
We
here?
need to come back
Do we
in here to
come
go
back?
into open session.
You don't have to do it here, no.
We don't?
No,
You can do it out there.
we can do it out there. Okay.
I didn't know if we had to come back for anything else. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay.
Thank you, Jackie.
We're going off-roading.
So, Madam Chair, I'm thinking you may be able to do 14 and 15, and then go into recess if Mr. Protakis isn't back by then.
Okay. So we will resume, we're gonna take some items out of order, and we're gonna go right to number 14, which is authorization by select board to submit charter home rule petition to the legislation. If you wanna,
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just a couple of points on this. This was, this is prompted by the existence of Article 20, their charter review recommendations from the most recent May 13th, 2025 annual town meeting. As part of that process, we do require a vote for authorization by the select board to submit the charter home rule petition to the legislature. So barring any discussion you may have, if there's a motion to that effect, we'll go ahead and pass this on through the town clerk's office and move it right along.
So,
I don't need any discussion.
no,
I'll move to submit the authorization by the select board to the legislature for charter home rule petition.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, as
So-
well.
So when do we expect that these revisions will become, I guess you would call it law?
The reviews have been slower than typical based on what we've seen, so honestly, I couldn't venture a guess.
Oh, I heard they were
It'll
always slow.
take months.
Well, that's
Yeah.
better than I heard.
They're always slow, but it seems like they've been slower with us for some reason. So I can try to shake out an estimate for you, about like maybe 6 months.
Okay, so item number 15 is the annual appointments, list of appointments attached to the agenda, Appendix A.
So it's the bottom half, correct?
I don't know, this is very confusing to my brain.
Yeah, sorry, we've been hopping around a lot.
So Costa, we already did Appendix A.
Yeah, we already did that one.
Remaining is below the staff
The
appointments.
staff, the fire.
Yeah, everyone, so you took care of police, so
Yes.
everyone else
Yep.
remains, right?
Oh, yes.
So we're on the bottom of A.
Right.
So the staff appointments, all 3-year terms unless otherwise noted. Do you want me to read them off? Or?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, if it's okay. I'll make a motion to reappoint Douglas Kayla Coles, Fire Chief and Emergency Management Director, Paul Goodwin, Superintendent of Public Works, Scott Fitzpatrick, Building Commissioner, Peter Swindell, Local Building Inspector Alternate, Tracy Mello, Health Director, Beverly Millward, Kevin Nichols, Animal Control Officer and Inspector of Animals, and Ron Beauregard, Assistant Health Agent.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Justin, do you want to do, are there any updates and announcements?
So did we do boards and committees? I don't know if we did that, did we?
Which one?
Board and
We-
committee, did we do that one? No.
So 12 and 13 we're holding.
Yeah.
No, it was just staff appointments at this time.
What about,
We
what
didn't
about
skip
these?
any.
What page
Board
is
and
that?
committee reappointment.
Oh, that's
Oh, my
just
apologies.
on.
What are you?
Where was that?
Jeff's looking
You
at
got me,
this,
Jeff. Where is
but
that?
I
There's another page.
think that was just on
It's all
there
the,
as
the-
information.
Oh, is it the one
The
that the
committees.
library?
Oh, yeah, you're right,
Yeah, my
okay.
apologies.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, same.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Madam Chair, if you'll allow me to make a motion to reappoint Community Preservation Committee, Jeff Garber, Municipal Property Tax Relief, Costa Printarkis, and that's all we have on here for now.
But we have the,
The board.
all the, on top of that,
Rick.
Rick, there's about
Oh,
20
I'm
of them.
terribly sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
all
so
right,
it's
I was
not
ducking
just
on
me.
that.
We'll revise the formatting last year. Next
Sorry.
year, it's,
So then that's, my motion stands, if
For
you
the
want.
Select Board Liaison
Yeah.
roles. Okay, let's
then I'll do
just
the other
vote
ones
on that
after.
one if
Yep.
Jeff wants to second it.
Yep.
Well, I'll recuse from, we're gonna do them separately
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm one
right,
of them.
right.
I think we need to wait for Costa for those because
Maybe we
he's
should,
one of,
yeah? Why
well,
not?
because you need 3 votes and I
Doesn't hurt.
can't vote on one and he can't vote on one.
Nope.
But the one on top, we can do if you want, Rick.
I
Okay.
agree.
Let's go
All right.
back to the top.
I'm gonna read this one, so.
So, would you like to motion for a brief recess? And
Well, we
come
can do
back?
the board and committee.
Oh, if you'd like.
Want us to do the top ones?
Right?
Yeah, do you want to make it or you want me to make it?
Oh, it's up to you.
I'll do it. So
Go for it.
You guys
So I'll
wanna
move that
pour?
we appoint Beth Andrews back to the Affordable Housing Trust. These are all reappointments.
Yes.
Matthew Greenfield for the Board of Health, Rich Cardinelli for Board of Registrars, Justin Bingham Bylaw Review, Paul Pellicelli, John Erickson, and Richard Gregorio for Cable TV Advisory, Michael Sliney for Conservation. Council on Aging would be Margaret Alfonso, Wendy Trick, and Joan Shea Desmond. That's Council on Aging. Cultural Council will be Michael Givens, Pam Hartman Rosner, and Megan Walter. Historical Commission, Pike Messenger and Ann Cote. Industrial Review and Design will be Linda Richards. Patriotic Observances Committee, Steve Costas. Rails to Trail will be Sherry Harris Armitage and John LeBlanc. Scholarship, Rodney Pendleton. Zoning Board of Appeals, for 5 years will be Carolyn McPherson, and an alternate for 1 year, Linda Richards.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Let me just write those minutes for Jackie.
All right, so let me just have this one. And 12:13. We may need a recess after all. But we're
I
pretty
know,
quick.
right?
I know I could use one.
And so when you return, you'll do the select board liaison roles and then item
12 and 13. Okay. We'll take a 5
to 10.
5 to 10 minute recess. You good? All right, at this time, we're going to resume the meeting, and we are on item number 12, which is response to the open meeting law violation.
Madam Chair, could I just, as a reminder, item 15, you still have the select board liaison
Oh.
items that we set aside.
We'll circle back.
Okay. Item 12. So as the board is aware, you had received an open meeting law complaint from a resident describing a situation that the board had requested response to. And so there were five items in total in response to the complaint. I'm not going to go through the complaint point for point, but would the board like me to go through the 5 points?
I got
I
nothing. I don't have
don't
anything to
have
add.
Yeah, so-
What's the next step in that?
So just filing this within the 30 days, which if the board finds the response acceptable, we'll go ahead and provide that response. So the first item of note is that the board denies any such deliberation occurred outside of the meeting. The second is that open meeting laws must allege violations with sufficient specificity, and no dates, times, or evidence were provided relative to the allegations. Item 3 is that the allegations that the members violated campaign finance laws are outside the scope of the open meeting law. It's neither here nor there relative to the open meeting law. Item 4, the DOG declines to review allegations against individuals who are not acting in their official capacity as members of a public body, which the incident described falls under that category. And then the fifth and final point is that the complaint itself is untimely. Open meeting law complaints must be made within a 30-day window of the alleged violation, and this complaint came in well after that point in time. And so I don't know if the board would like to add anything to any of those elements.
Yeah, from my perspective, yeah, I think, the tradition and practice of the select board is that, the chairs, is the spokesperson for the board, and at times delegates, that responsibility to other, people, and none of that is as a result of a meeting, who speaks at on a town meeting article. The chair can decide, I'll speak, on that, or can ask another member, to speak on that article. It's, we don't need to have a meeting to delegate those responsibilities of who speaks when and in what forum.
I have nothing to add.
All right.
I just, like I said, so if this get, so do we have to approve it to submit it to the
We have to
state?
take a vote and approve for Justin to submit.
And then they CC it to the complainant, and then what happens? The state has it.
Yeah, I mean, the state will come back, especially item 5, that it's untimely, they'll go.
No, but I mean, then they respond to both.
Yeah, they'll respond
Very
to
good.
the complaint, and it'll be dismissed ultimately.
Thank you.
So we will need a motion
I'll make a motion
for Justin.
to authorize, to submit the draft as it
I'm
is.
going to recuse myself from voting on it because what was alleged to have happened, I wasn't part of it. I can't speak to whether this response is true or not because I wasn't a part of what was alleged to happen. So I'll recuse myself on voting on this.
No, we'll have to table it until we have enough people for votes.
Yeah,
If you have,
I can still vote. I'm
you
only
have
acting.
three. You have
That's
three.
it.
y'all can vote if you.
Oh, I'm sorry,
You have
that
3.
counts.
Yep.
Oh, my bad, I thought we've been in and out all day. All right, well, my
Forgive me.
motion stands.
Well, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With Jeff abstaining.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, which is update to the MBTA legislation. Litigation, sorry. I was still finishing my notes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as you may recall, the town engaged, I want to say sometime back in April, in a lawsuit against the state Middleton v. Commonwealth relative to the MBTA communities law and the town's belief that we were inadvertently swept up in that piece of legislation. There was also a late-breaking determination from the state auditor's office that the MBTA communities law was perceived as an unfunded mandate. And so on that piece in particular, the town of Middleton and several other communities joined in on that lawsuit against the state on those grounds. Ultimately, the courts came back and unfortunately struck down the unfunded mandate element. The select board met in executive session Thursday of last week, I believe, or was it the week prior?
The week before.
It's all blending
Jeff.
together at this point, thank you.
I know. It was a week before.
Thank you. To discuss that in executive session with respect to the board's response relative to its legal strategy. As part of that, the board determined that they would like to issue an appeal of that ruling. There's not, at this point in time, a determination about what elements the town is specifically looking to appeal. We're only required within a certain time period that we are intending to appeal. And so such an appeal has been filed as an update to the public. That is a public document. A copy was made available within your packet as I peel through my pages here looking for the copy. An upcoming July 8th or 9th meeting, July 8th meeting, the select board will meet in executive session just to discuss the parameters of that appeal, specifically beyond the unfunded mandate piece, the adjacency element as well, that Middleton is billed as an adjacent community despite, in fact, not being adjacent to any meaningful means of public transportation. So at this point in time, I don't have any further update. We just wanted to bring it forth in a broad sense to the public, make them aware of the board's intent to appeal, and the fact that that's been filed, and if any board members would like to add anything to that, you're welcome to.
Do you have anything?
No.
Jeff? I have nothing else to add.
So, appointments.
Yep, so, sorry, Jack.
We need to circle back at this time on the select board liaison rules for appointments. I'll read them. Community Preservation Committee, Jeff Garber. seeking redesignation. Municipal Property Tax Relief, Costa Printakis, seeking reappointment. Master Plan Committee is still vacant. If anybody has any interest in that, at such time, go on the website and fill out the application.
No, I think that's a select,
No,
it's one of us.
no, it's
Designate.
appointment, sorry.
It's your designee
Yes,
moderator.
I know,
appoints.
I get
Be
it
one
now.
of- One of us.
I get it now.
You're doing great.
And then,
It's been a long day.
it's been one. And then, Madam Chair, Appendix B, Library Director Screening Committee, it should be noted that the designee of the Friends should also be appointed by the Select Board. It's the next line down.
So right now on the master plan, there are any select board members on that as, at large or in any capacity or none?
What a wonderful question that I can answer in just a moment.
I believe it's Mr. Cresta, and he had actually reached out to me expressing he has a rather full plate at this point in time, and is willing to set it aside if one of you would like to pick it up.
But there are no other select board members on master plan at this time.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for the municipal property tax relief for Costa.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
I'll abstain.
I'll make a motion for Jeff Garber to Community Preservation Committee.
I'll second.
all in favor?
And I'll abstain from that one.
Aye.
Aye. And I'll also make a motion for Annie Wilton as a designee of the Friends of the Flint as a select board appointment for the purposes of the Library Director Screening Committee.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I don't have any updates. I have.
Well, we
I
still.
do, actually.
We still have
We do?
14. Did we do 14?
Yep. Oh, sorry,
We
you
did
were
a
out of the
couple when
room.
you were out there.
You were gone. We
All right.
weren't waiting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Most of the other
We
appointments we
have
did.
And you
updates
didn't.
and announcements
So-
we didn't do.
I apologize, you're not putting anybody forward as the select board designee to the master plan committee at this
I
time?
didn't hear anyone.
Step forward.
I have to give,
But we could at our
maybe
next
in a
meeting, right?
week
If
I
one of
could
us were
let you
to.
know.
Yeah,
That's
think
what-
about it and let us know.
Yeah,
about it till the
I'll
next
keep it
meeting.
on the pending list.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Hey, if we're on updates.
Updates and announcements.
And as you appointed me your liaison to the elementary school committee, I met yesterday with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, 2 school committee members, and the FinCom liaison to the elementary schools. Had a nice conversation. I explained the sort of dire view of FY '27 and why we took an early hard sort of guidance. We recognize that it could be unfair to the school department, but we couldn't say anything else to be able to have any certainty that we could meet up to something higher. Of course, if things get better, then we can take a look at it. It's kind of evolving. Start with a worst case scenario. It's easier to make something better than to make it worse. It's easier to add to a budget than to cut to a budget. I stressed the trying to get to sort of a more finalized budget earlier in the year for them. I don't think it's realistic, for them to have a finalized budget on the first Saturday in February, but by the first Saturday in March, we should have something that's a lot further along than it has been, in the past. And they were receptive to that. There were also, we talked about sort of like our supplemental budget system and the requests. So there's a school committee meeting on August 4th, that they will, discuss with the committee what we discussed there and whether, to take the approach to build, the budget to the 2.5%, increase, then see what needs to be added to maintain a level of service that is expected, the quality, and either through the supplemental process or through an override. There was really not a particular appetite to go back a third straight year to ask, for something. It was, a nice conversation, and we have another meeting scheduled for August 6th, which is after their school committee and after our August, meeting. So if there's more, information that we wish to convey to them, there's that, and they can have their feedback from the school committee. I've also met independently of that with Matt Alexander, who's the new chair of the Masco School Committee. It was more.
Oh, he was appointed chair.
Yeah, he was elected
that's
chair.
good.
Trevor, who was in line, didn't feel that he could, do his new
Manage.
job and that, position, justice. So I talked to him more from sort of my perspective, and what he, got, talked to me about was sort of, what his thinking was, none of which he had discussed with, anybody else on the school committee. So I'm not going to share it, publicly until, they do that. But and that was also, a nice conversation, and I think, we'll maintain some kind of communication, and I think Matt will come to this board, when there is, something that we need to be informed about.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank
You
you.
do a great job at that. I'm glad to hear that.
I agree. Okay, as a reminder, our upcoming meetings, we will be going to a summer schedule, so the next meeting is July 8th. And with that, we have one more motion to make tonight.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye as well.